You've reached the busy signal. I'm Jim, your host, and this podcast is all about revisiting the pop culture we grew up with. From the TV shows and movies we love, to music, commercials, and the moments that never really left us. The Busy Signal, episode 64. Thanks for listening. Hey everybody, if you've listened to this podcast for any significant amount of time, you've figured out that I love a good food episode. And gosh, I know we just did another installment of the Part of a Balanced Breakfast series in the last episode, but this food show is going to be different. It's a food show about food shows. Picture this. It's the early 1990s. Cable TV is exploding, and every week there's a brand new channel promising to change television forever. Some about shopping, some about history, some about music, and one idea that might have almost sounded ridiculous at the time. A channel about food. No reality shows, no cupcake wars, no next stars, just food. It all really started in 1990 with a small Providence, Rhode Island food magazine that saw the cable channel market booming and thought there's definitely room for a 24-hour cooking channel. It was kind of weird at first, but eventually personalities developed, and the TV Food Network, as it was first called when it debuted, November 23rd, 1993,
You're watching the TV Food Network.
Figured out its recipe for success. And that's where we're going today, back to the Wild West days of cable TV in the early 90s. Back when a cable channel dedicated to cookery was a new crazy concept, before all the baking competitions and mystery baskets, before the signature catchphrases, and before everyone suddenly knew what reduction meant. When Food Network was just a little weird cable experiment, unknowing that it would change more than how people looked at cooking. For better or worse, it would be part of TV history forever. So grab your aprons and wash your hands, because we're learning how to cook today on The Busy Signal. The beginnings of the TV Food Network are interesting. Aside from Wikipedia, it really does take a bit of work to try and fill in gaps and get a complete picture of how it started or what it even looked like. Initially, the name for this food-centric station was The Cooking Channel. And unfortunately, that name wasn't available, although eventually Food Network did acquire it and launched that sister network in 2012 under that name. So for the first couple years, it was known as the TV Food Network. And in 1995, they got the rights to Food Network and became just that. The parent company is actually still known as Television Food Network, though. And that is a super abridged version of the origins of the TV Food Network. But really what I want to dig into is looking at what it looked like when it first started, those notable shows, those flagship shows on its initial lineup. If we want to understand what early TV Food Network looked like, we really need to start at the very beginning with How to Boil Water. Yep, one of the first shows on the network was called How to Boil Water. And this show basically taught America how to simply cook from scratch. When TV Food Network launched in 1993, the idea wasn't celeb chefs and competition shows, it was cooking school on cable. Nothing captured this concept better than How to Boil Water, a show designed for people who barely knew their way around a kitchen. So while the name How to Boil Water sounds funny, it really wasn't a joke. The network genuinely wanted beginners.
If you can boil water, you're on your way to learning the basics of cooking. On How to Boil Water, we'll combat cooking illiteracy with the simple foundations of a well-equipped kitchen and tips on food preparation. It's a kind of 12-step program to battle fear of the kitchen. We're all equal on How to Boil Water.
The original host was Emeril Lagasse, years before BAM made him a superstar. His early episodes were straightforward, basic techniques, affordable recipes, and zero flash. As close to classroom on TV as you could get. And by the mid-90s...
Ooh. Oh, yeah! When that all burns off and you got all the essence in that sauce...
Emeril Lagasse, owner of two of the hottest restaurants in New Orleans, creates his favorite Cajun and Creole recipes from the Bayou and beyond on the Essence of Emeril.
Emeril had blown up. He moved on to Essence of Emeril and Emeril Live and Emeril this and Emeril that. And by the early 2000s, I think I even remember Emeril was selling mint toothpaste. It was crazy. The format of the show did change, though. New chefs were hosting and being paired up with comedians, and I think the point of this was to show like a chef and beginner setup where viewers could learn alongside someone who would appear to be as confused as they were. Whether that worked or not, I don't know. But eventually, Tyler Florence took over How to Boil Water, and this was right around the time Food Network started shifting towards personality-driven television. But the mission did stay the same. Teach ordinary people how to cook without intimidation. It was this flagship show that was a cornerstone and created the template for decades of food TV. Chefs talking to regular people. But learning how to cook wasn't the only thing early Food Network thought viewers wanted. When the channel launched in late '93, the plan was more than just cooking shows. They also wanted something that looked a lot more like actual TV journalism. And that idea turned into another flagship program for the new channel, Food, News, and Views. It was basically a news magazine about food. It covered restaurant trends, nutrition, new products, and interviews with chefs and food personalities, all from a studio desk just like it was the evening news.
On Food News and Views, award-winning journalist Donna Hanover and food and wine expert David Rosengarten update you on all the news that's fit to eat.
Instead of headlines about politics, you got updates about what people were eating, like CNN, but about dinner.
Now Bill Boggs is here with the inside scoop in this week's Daily Dish. Bill?
Well, thank you very much, Donna. Yes, once again, ready or not, we continue our exploration into the rapacious appetites of celebrities. George Clooney has a big appetite for work. He'll be shooting ER and the new Batman movie simultaneously, but he took the time last week to have lunch every day with former Catwoman Michelle Pfeiffer at Gloucester Fish House here in Manhattan.
This show reflected what the TV Food Network originally thought it would become, a full-scale food information channel. Not just recipes, but reporting, interviews, and industry coverage. It was ambitious, maybe too ambitious for the viewers who mostly just wanted to know what to make for dinner. Food News and Views wasn't ultimately the future of the network, but it shows just how experimental those early days were. Right from the beginning, the TV Food Network had a problem. The same problem all new cable channels have, by the way. They needed viewers, and the chefs they were putting on TV weren't famous yet. Emeril Lagasse was teaching people how to boil water, but nobody knew who Emeril was. So the network made sure they had a recognizable name for their launch. They landed someone who had absolutely nothing to do with cooking.
You are what you eat, and what you eat is what the television Food Network is all about. It's the world's first 24-hour cable network devoted exclusively to food, glorious food. Not just how to eat it, but how to choose it, prepare it, present it, enjoy it, and how it affects your health. TVFN is also about fun and excitement, about travel and the world of exotic and ethnic cuisines you get to discover. But mostly it's about you and your family and the one thing we all have in common, food. The Television Food Network. It's good for you.
Robin Leach. He was still doing Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous at the time, so Robin Leach brought his trademark style to one of the network's earliest shows, Robin Leach Talking Food.
Robin Leach and his culinary sidekick Kate Conley chatted up with big names and famous faces on Talking Food.
Instead of teaching you how to cook dinner, Leach hosted a talk show style program about food culture, restaurants, and what celebrities were eating. It was less how to make pasta and more champagne wishes and caviar dreams, but with recipes somewhere in the conversation. The show was part interview program, part food journalism experiment, and part proof that early Food Network hadn't quite figured out what they wanted to be yet. Some shows taught cooking, some covered food news, and one had Robin Leach chatting about fancy meals. The show didn't last long, but Talking Food did its job. In those early days of TV Food Network, Robin Leach was probably the most famous person on the channel, which is kind of amazing when you consider that just a few years later, the network would be turning its own chefs into celebrities left and right. By the mid-90s, TV Food Network was still figuring out what it wanted to be. It had instructional cooking shows, shows that talked about food, news, and if you look at the Food Network now and think it's very little actual cooking shows and just all competition reality shows, you're going to ask yourself, how did it stray away from teaching an actual real food conversation? The answer may go as far back as 1995, and that's when Ready, Set, Cook premiered.
It's time for
Ready, Set, Cook. And now, here's your host, Sissy Biggers.
Oh, very nice. Thank you, and welcome to Ready, Set, Cook, where two of the country's top chefs compete to create a culinary work of art. But they have only 20 minutes and a mere $10 worth of surprise ingredients provided by two members of our studio audience. At the end of that heated 20-minute competition, one of those contestants will go home with a fabulous culinary gift. And of course, the privilege of working with these masters as their sous chefs.
This might have been the moment the TV Food Network discovered cooking could be a game show for real. The show paired a professional chef with a regular audience member who showed up with a bag of groceries that they bought for $10, which more often than not probably meant that they were buying chicken thighs and anything else that they could grab on sale. Then the chefs had 20 minutes to turn the mystery ingredients into something edible. There were two teams, the red tomatoes and the green peppers, which sounds less like a cooking competition and more like an aggressive preschool activity. The show had a few hosts over the years, but ultimately the host's job was to keep things moving while the chefs were sweating directly into the food under the hot studio lights while trying to figure out how to turn random pantry chaos into meals. And at the end of the show, the studio audience voted for a winner because nothing says culinary authority like a crowd full of randos holding up giant tomato and pepper signs. Ready, Set, Cook was an adaptation of a British series called Ready, Steady, Cook. And this was Food Network's first real taste of competition. Fast, messy, and a little unpredictable. It proved cooking shows didn't have to be calm or educational. They could be loud and slightly ridiculous. And while this young channel had a ton of original programming, they did seek to bulk up their schedule a little bit, with help from around the world. Straight out of the gate, TV Food Network had an impressive amount of original programming, but they did import cooking shows from other sources. Really early on, they acquired the rights to air the whole catalog of Julia Child's The French Chef.
Cut up the chicken with his trusty saber.
And of course, America's most famous chef, Julia Child, serves up something special every day on Cooking Classics.
Julia Child herself would promo the fact that you could watch all the old episodes on TVFN.
Hi, I'm Julia Child. The TV Food Network has dragged my series, The French Chef, out of the vault. Who's crazier, them for showing it or me for letting them do it? Anyway, bon appetit.
The TV Food Network, always delicious.
Decades of classic cooking shows starring an OG TV celeb chef gave this brand new channel instant credibility. By the late 90s, viewers could watch Two Fat Ladies, a British series featuring two motorcycle riding cooks who were often accused of treating butter like a food group.
Clarissa Dixon Wright and Jennifer Patterson are big. They're brazen, too, and above all, they love food. Their passion for pastry and pasta has made them a smash hit in England, and now they've taken their act on the road. They call themselves Two Fat Ladies, and they are our Entertainment Tonight cover story.
That's Clarissa Dixon Wright. That's Jennifer Patterson. We're off home.
Undoubtedly two of TV's biggest stars, tearing across the English countryside on their motorcycle and tearing up kitchens on the Food Network. They revel in fixing the kind of food that made them two fat ladies, unafraid to fly in the face of today's food police.
I'm going to start by putting some butter in. Then I'm going to wrap it in streaky bacon. One of these stupid health people, the thing, organizations, criticized us by saying, trouble with our food was it tasted wonderful, but it wasn't good for you.
And if you've never seen Two Fat Ladies, highly entertaining, really interesting. They would travel around the UK on a Triumph Thunderbird motorcycle, equipped with a double wide sidecar. You don't ever really see that. This was a really unique show, and it was really cool. Their dishes were definitely rich in calories, but their show was equally rich in charm. Try that one out. Then there was the Japanese sensation, Iron Chef, also known as Iron Chef Japan, where chefs battled inside a theatrical kitchen stadium.
Iron Chef! The challengers, the Iron Chefs, and the battle for the ultimate honor. Experience the spectacle, the pageantry, the wonder that is Iron Chef. And now the glory goes on. The battles never seen stateside have arrived. New challengers, new ingredients. Every Friday night at 10, Food Network premieres a new episode of Iron Chef.
Commentary was dubbed into English, but it was campy and weird and highly addictive, completely unlike any other American food television ever seen at the time, which is why people couldn't stop talking about it, and Food Network created their own version with one of the original Iron Chefs, Masaharu Morimoto. Throw in the insanely popular Emeril Live, and it's no wonder that by 1997, Food Network was the second fastest growing cable channel in America. People were, and still are, more than happy to sit on the couch and watch someone else do meal prep. Back to Emeril Live real quick though, just for a second.
Coming up next on Food Network, join Emeril Lagasse as he kicks it up a notch with crowd-pleasing cuisine on Emeril Live, right here, only on Food Network.
I actually tried to go see Emeril Live in 2002. I tried to get tickets, but one, they were crazy expensive, and two, they were booking like over a year out. So, no BAM for me. Still kind of sad about that. Looking back at those early years, what made Food Network work was actually pretty simple. It had something for everyone. If you didn't know how to cook, you could start with shows that taught you how to boil water. If you did know how to cook, there were shows with chefs giving you confidence to try new techniques at home. Or it was super chill just to have on in the background because at the end of the day, food is the one thing everyone has in common. You might not be a sports fan, you might not care about music videos, but sooner or later, everyone has to eat. The TV Food Network understood you didn't have to be a chef to enjoy food TV. You just had to be hungry. Of course, over time, things changed. Somewhere along the way, cooking quietly turned into a sport. Instructional shows gave way to competitions, countdowns, challenges, and dramatic arguments over risotto. But back in the day, before the timers and eliminations, mystery baskets, all of that, it felt like a place where regular people could learn something new. Or at least, why their pasta kept sticking together. And maybe that's why those early years feel special. Anyone else out there remember the early days of Food Network? Have memories you want to share? Drop a comment on the show's Instagram, @BusySignalCast. You'll find more than just the commercials from the episodes, which you will find, by the way. Each week we have a theme. The last couple weeks have been dedicated to Mac and PC, as well as Ernest. Know what I mean? So poach that follow button and never miss your daily shot of nostalgia. And if you do drop a comment, I almost always respond, and occasionally I'll read it on the next episode. Just like I'm about to do right now for Gerospace. And they wrote, "I forgot about some of these. Great job bringing back some memories." Thank you, Gerospace, for the super rad comment. That is one of my favorite things, having like long lost memories unlocked and then helping other people unlock those memories. That's literally what this show is about. So I love doing that. That comment was in reference to last episode, part of a Balanced 2000s breakfast. Go back and listen to that if you missed it, because maybe you'll have some breakfast memories unlocked. We now have a full trilogy of breakfast episodes for the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. You can find these and all the Busy Signal episodes wherever you get your pods. If you're on Apple and Spotify, please subscribe. I'm willing to bet you won't regret it. The podcast is free, so if you wanted to support the show, a positive review on Apple or Spotify would be awesome. That's it for this one. All this talk about cooking has me inspired to order a pizza. Thanks for hanging out. Catch you later. Once again, I'd like to say thanks for listening. And as always, you can listen to the Busy Signal everywhere quality podcasts are streamed. Hit the subscribe button to have a new episode delivered directly to your favorite device every other Friday. If you really like the show, leave a 5-star rating or a positive review on Apple and Spotify. You can also head over to Instagram and follow the show @BusySignalCast. And until next time, remember, reach out and touch the past.
So we have viewer mail.
Yes.
From electronic mail.
I know, this is so cool, I think. I don't have
Does
no idea
everybody understand
how
this works?
No.